We are going to wrap up Chapter 9 today with Lesson 9.5. We have saved 9.5 to the end because it's the composition of transformation. So you're not going to put more than one of those together. So we're going to deal with our rigid motions, with our translations, rotations, and reflections. And now add in your new transformation, which is your dilation, which will enlarge or reduce your figure. Let's go ahead and take a look at our notes so we can work out some problems. Okay, and again, make sure you're taking good notes here, especially with these graphing type of problems, because you are going to have to construct or graph them when you get to your test. Okay, be very careful of coordinates. Okay, let's make this big. There we go. All right, so today we're going to focus on performing a composition of transformations. So we are going to do 2 or more transformations. What you need to make sure of is that you are doing your transformations in order. Okay, the order is important, and you have to be moving from one figure to another as you work your way through. So for instance, okay, take a look at the notation I have written out here because this is how it would follow in a composition. Okay, our pre-image point is A. After the first transformation, that point moves to A prime. Now we're going to work from A prime and we're going to move to our second transformation, which ends at A double prime. Okay, if you had 3 transformations, it would then move to A triple prime, okay, and so on. And we want to be very clear with how we mark or label, okay, our points within our figure. So let's take a look at these. Now, this lesson really should review. There's no new content. We're just graphing them in order in a composition. So this first one here, we're going to perform what's called a glide reflection. Now, when you see glide reflection, that means the translation is happening first. That's the glide or the shift. Then the reflection is happening second. So in this case, what we're starting with is a line segment. So we need to put line segment CD on our graph. So point C is located at 2, -5. And point D is at 4, 0. So there is my line segment to start. Keep in mind, and especially on your test, you always graph your pre-image. Okay, we need to see where the figure is starting. Okay, that's the pre-image, that original figure. And then we look at how it transforms from there. Okay, so our translation is given by the rule x minus 3, comma y. So I should notice that the x coordinate is the only one that's changing, and minus 3 would mean we're moving 3 units to the left. Okay, so I'm just going to take C, and I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 units to the left. So there's C prime, and D is going to move 3 units to the left. So there would be D prime. Okay, and there's my segment. And it should look like it's just moved over 3 units. Now we always want to label what those coordinates are. Okay, so C prime, again, if it moved 3 to the left, we're just subtracting 3 from our x coordinate. So that's going to place it at -1, -5. And D prime then, okay, if we subtract 3 at 1, 0. Now, we're going to move from these points and construct a reflection second over the line y equals -1. Well, again, y equals -1 is a horizontal line that crosses the y-axis at -1. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that line in, which is located right here. on my graph, there's that line of reflection. Okay, if I do that, I can see right now that D prime is 1 unit above that line, so its reflection is going to move it 1 unit below that line. So there would be D double prime. Now, I moved a total of 2 units down. Okay, so when I look at D double prime, if I go 2 down, I'm going to subtract 2 from that y coordinate. So it's not going to place it at 1, -2. Okay, or you could just look at your graph and see that it's located at 1, -2. It's a good idea to understand how those coordinates are moving. Okay, now C prime is located right here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 units away from the line of reflection. So we need to move 1, 2, 3, 4 units above it. So here would be C prime. If we moved 4 and 4, I moved a total of 8 units up. So C double prime, if I add 8 to that y coordinate, I should be at -1, 3. And I check that, -1, 3, and that's where that's located. And then you can see there would be my segment. And then you should see that we took that and flipped it over. Now when you see a line of reflection go through the figure itself, the part that's above flips to the bottom. The part that was below flips to the top. Okay, so that reflection works both ways. Okay, do make sure that you have those coordinates written next to each one of your graphs. All right, we're going to look at another example here. This time in our composition, we are asked to perform the reflection first and then our rotation. And a good idea to have with you, let's see if I have my copies out. Last week, okay, you had this sheet here that had all your common formulas on that. Since this is a common rotation, it has coordinate rules that you can use, okay, to create this construction. Okay, remember that's a good reference sheet to use when creating your compositions. So we're going to start with a triangle PQR located at these vertices. So P is at 2, 6, Q at 4, -2, and R at -3, -3. Now, if you connect these with a ruler, it'd be even a little neater. Okay, but I'm just going to kind of sketch that out for us to work with it. Now, we're going to reflect first across the y-axis. Okay, so I do have, okay, coordinate rules, okay, for that y-axis reflection, okay, but I can also see it on the graph itself. I could see if I reflect P is going to flip over the y-axis. So right now it's 2 units away from the y-axis, so it's moving 2 units over here. So this is where P prime would be located. Okay, R is 1, 2, 3 units away from the y-axis. So it's going to move 1, 2, 3 units over here. And then Q is 4 units from the y-axis, so it's going to move 4 units over here. And we have Q prime. So now I have that triangle there. Okay, it flipped, okay, over your y-axis. Now we do want to make sure that we have these coordinates correct, because you want to know each step of the way, because we're going to do them in that order. So I'm going to look at my coordinate rules here. For my reflection on the y-axis, the x coordinate should just have the opposite sign. So that would make this -2, 6, -4, -2, and +3, -3, okay, for my coordinates. Okay, now secondly, we're going to do a rotation. So now we're going to turn it 90 degrees, and it's going to move clockwise. Now, on your sheet, you do have 90 degrees clockwise, but keep in mind 90 degrees clockwise is the same thing as 270 counterclockwise. Okay, so clockwise, moving it this direction, like P is in the second quadrant, that's going to move it to the first if you moved clockwise. Or 270 counterclockwise, 1, 2, 3 quadrants over, or 270 degrees. Okay, so just kind of a heads up that way. My coordinate rule, okay, for my rotation is that XY is going to rotate to -y x. Whoops. Sorry. 90 degrees clockwise is going to be to y -x. Sorry. I was going the wrong direction. Okay, so now if I wanted to identify where P double prime would be located, I'm going to switch these coordinates, and that what was my x coordinate is now going to have the opposite sign. So that's going to make -2 a +2. So this should move to 6, 2. And that will be P double prime. And you can see we've moved 1 quadrant clockwise. Okay, so, and if you connected it with your center point, you can see that 90-degree angle, okay, on your graph. Okay, Q double prime is then going to become 2, -4, right, or wait, x coordinate, the original x will have the opposite sign. Okay, so -2, +4. Okay, so -2, +4, we'll move it to this location. So there's Q double prime. And yes, I moved 1 quadrant clockwise. And R double prime. X coordinate was a +3, so it will become a -3. And then we also had -3. So R double prime is going to go to -3, -3. So it takes it right back to its original place. Okay, and you should see that if I take my prime triangle, which is right here, you can see we kind of just take it and turn it 90 degrees, and then it ends up in this location. Okay, these graphs can get a little bit complicated as you work your way through, so please just be careful. All right, last one I want to work with you on the graph is going to be with a dilation. Okay, so this time we're going to do our translation first, moving 6 left and 6 up, and then we're going to do a dilation of 1/3. Okay, so in this case, okay, we're going to place F at 6, -3. Then R at 9, -6. E at 6, -9. And D at 3, -6. Okay. Okay, so here's Fred. All right. Now, if we were to move okay, 6 left and 6 up. Okay, I can just plug those coordinates in. Okay, so 6 minus 6 would be 0. And then -3 plus 6 would be at 3. R prime will be located at 9 minus 6, which is 3. And -6 plus 6, which is 0. Then 6 minus 6 is 0. And -9 plus 6 is -3. And then 3 minus 6, -3. And -6 plus 6 at 0. So pretty easy points to kind of move on here. So I'm going to go to 0, 3, 3, 0, up, prime, R prime, 0, -3, E prime, and -3, 0, D prime. Okay, now here's Fred prime. Okay, located here. And now I'm going to construct a dilation of 1/3. So the scale factor is less than 1, so this is going to be a reduction. And I'm going to distribute that scale factor to each of those to get Fred double prime. So 1/3 times 0 is still 0. 1/3 times 3 is 1. 1/3 times 3 is 1. 1/3 times 0, 0. 1/3 times 0, 0. 1/3 times -3, -1. 1/3 times -3, -1. And 1/3 times 0 is 0. So now I am at 0, 1. There's F prime. 1, 0. There's R double prime. 0, -1. There's E double prime. And -1, 0. There's D double prime. And there's our shape. Same shape, just a smaller size, 1/3 of the size, okay, in there as our dilation. All right, and then in our second part, okay, of this assignment, we're going to do it in the reverse. We're now going to look at a picture of the graph, and we're going to identify what type of transformations were occurring. So do we have translations, reflections, rotations, or dilations? And what order was that done in? Okay, so in example 6, we should just see that this triangle is shifting or moving, okay, or translating. So we just want to count what that movement is. So just connect one of your corresponding vertices. So to get from B to B prime, I had to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to the left and 1, 2 units up. So this would be a translation where XY is going to translate to X minus 5 because it's moving 5 left, and Y plus 2 because it's moving up 2. Okay, now in 7 and 8, we have compositions because we have more than one occurring. So here's my pre-image ABC. Now this one is moving here first to A prime, B prime, C prime. So in this case, I can see this one's just shifted over. So again, I've got first my translation happening and my vertex here, XY. So I'm just going to take A to A prime. This is moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then down 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 and 4. So this then was X plus 5 because it moved to the right. But now it's moving down 4. So then that would be Y minus 4. Okay, secondly then, now moving from prime to double prime, I should see that this flips. Okay, this one is a reflection, and it's reflecting or flipping over that x-axis. Okay, B prime and B double prime, easiest to see, right? I'm 1 unit from the x-axis and then 1 unit above on the other side. So this is a reflection, second, over our x-axis. Okay, then looking at example 8, okay, what I should notice in here, in this one, is that to go from that original figure, okay, to A prime, B prime, C prime, that shape is turning, it's rotating. So pick out a common vertex here, like C, and you would notice that the angle of rotation there is 90 degrees. So the first thing that is occurring is a rotation, and then we want to say that's 90 degrees moving clockwise. Now be careful because if that was multiple choice, it might say 270 counterclockwise if it was moving the other direction around your graph. Okay, so that's plausible. Okay, but the way I have it drawn here, it's moving in that clockwise direction. And then this one is flipping over. So the second one is going to be that reflection. But now I've got to find the midpoint right in between these two in which we can reflect that over. So I put this line right down here in my graph because then I can see it's 1 unit away here and 1 unit on this side. Well, this line is a vertical line that crosses my x-axis at 1, 2, 3. So that line of reflection is x equals 3. All right, now when you go into Google Classroom, your assignments or your forms are going to be in 2 parts here for lesson 9.5. So just be careful, same video, but you want to be able to work through now both of those assignments. Good luck.